Hey guys, welcome back. This is another show that we're doing. We're going live, and as always, the main purpose that I started doing this is to show other people that recovery is possible, because it is. I mean, pandemic, no pandemic, recovery is possible. Hey, Saya, what's up, girl? So recovery is possible. I really would like to. This whole thing is about recovery. Everything I do in my life really is all about recovery. It's recovery based. I eat, drink, breathe this stuff. And today I have a friend coming on. His name is Marty. He had a great story to tell. I can't wait to hear it. I spoke to him earlier, and we got to chat for a little bit. But he's actually trying to get in here already. So I'll get him in, and I'll let him tell his story to tell. Please reach out to me and we can make it happen. Hey,
What's up, brother?
What's up, bro? How's it going?
Good, good.
All right, you look good, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
so do you.
I like that shirt, man. Oh, yeah. Team Valor, baby. Oh, Jim's going to love that. But yeah, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your time, and being willing to, share your story, your experience, strength, and hope with everybody, around the world, really. Because social media is not, subject to just the U.S., it's global, anywhere around the world. And, we were talking earlier, and the very first time we talked, I mean, I swear it was like 1 minute. You was telling me a little bit about your story, and I was like, oh, I cannot wait to hear the whole thing, man. It's amazing, man. The connections that I've made, the friends I've made through social media, specifically during the pandemic. It's like we're a big family. That's why, people in recovery, and I grew up
huge.
I grew up very family oriented. So, that's right up my alley. So
it's crazy how big this is.
Yeah, I know you mentioned that too, how, you got connected with people, and, your recovery is so much stronger now and everything. And, you're very passionate about it. And that's great, man, because some people may not think that can happen, but you're living proof that it's possible. It's, especially like, see, people like my age or maybe younger, they're all into the social media thing, I would say it's more seasoned people like you, so sometimes don't know
more
how to,
seasoned. That's what I'm talking about.
Don't know how to work the cell phone, the computer, and everything. But I mean, personally, me, I went through to any links to get high, to get drunk, and to destroy relationships, destroy my health. So it's the same thing. It's just all the energy is going in another direction, basically. But thank you again, Marty. Before we get started,
Hey, thank you.
Before we get started, I want to ask you a few questions. I've never done this before, but I'm gonna, I figure I'll switch it up a little bit. Change is good. Change is good. They tell me. So the first question is I want to ask you before you share your story with us is, how long have you been sober? Or clean and sober.
I've been clean and sober for 19 years, 6 months, and 13 days.
All right. Congratulations, man. That is a long time, man, to be sober. Wow. And then, so where are you from?
I'm from Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Wyoming. No, I've never been there, man, before. Well, what's over there? I don't even know. I have no idea what it looks like.
It's I don't know. Some people say it's ugly. Some people say it's beautiful. It's home.
I guess it depends on the perspective of the person.
We've got desert. Right. Yeah. The mountains. We got the desert.
Wow. Does it snow or anything there?
Yeah, it's cold.
Oh.
It's right now. It's probably in the 20s.
Oh yeah.
We haven't got a lot of snow this year. I don't know why, but it's cold. But then the summers are just beautiful, so.
All right.
So you get both worlds, really.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. In Hawaii, we only got one season, and that's summer.
Right. Yeah, that's not a bad thing to have.
Yeah. We got hot rain. It's not cold. The rain is hot.
Right.
Okay. And then one more question before you jump into your story is, what was your choice in drink and or drug?
You know, I was thinking about it when we was talking earlier, you know, and it's still true. My choice was free.
Yeah.
If it was free, I was doing it, man.
Uh-huh.
You know, it didn't matter. It really didn't to me. It didn't matter. Man, I'm a drug addict. You know, I'm an alcoholic. I use, and that's what I do. You know, did I use some things more than others? Yeah, I did. But man, I didn't care. The finding and getting is what I thrived for, you know. And sometimes, you know, it might have been acid. Sometimes it might have been heroin. Sometimes it could have been cocaine,
Uh-huh.
meth, whatever, you know. And I was sharing with you, I always carried a pint in my back pocket, and I carried that pint with me so that if I was jonesing between the finding and getting, that could take the edge off until I got what I wanted, you know.
Right,
So
right.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, so at this time, I'll give you the floor to share your story with us, man. I'm so excited for this one.
Okay, man. All right. Thank you. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Marty, and I'm an addict. And like I said, I've been clean a long time. You know, my goal was uh, to not use for as long as I did use. And you know, I'm quickly approaching that, you know. And when I got in the rooms, man, I was scared, you know. And I'll give you a little history of what got me there. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it because my drug log isn't much different than anybody else's.
Yeah, I
It took
understand.
what it took to get me into the rooms,
Right.
you know. And my earliest memories of using was my dad was a functioning alcoholic,
Uh-huh.
and so he always had a good job, but he always drank too. And so I can remember being a little kid around 5 or 6 years old where he would say, "Hey, go get me a beer." Well, part of that job of mine was to go get him a beer, open it, and give it. Well, I'd always take a sip, you know. And so I can remember just little bits and pieces of sipping beer when I was 5, 6 years old. And then about 7 years old, my mom got a divorce from my dad, and we moved into an apartment. And by the time I was 9, I was taken to the hospital to get my stomach pumped because I stayed home from school one day and I drank so much Jack Daniels that, well, my mom thought maybe I had the flu, and the doctor told her it was the brown bottle flu. And but I had to have my stomach pumped at 9 years old.
Wow.
And then, you know, this kind of went hand in hand with being raised by a single mom, living in apartments. There were some guys there, and I had a brother that was 3 years and 9 months older than me. Well, he introduced me to weed, you know, at a very young age. Tried it when I was pretty young, but nothing, you know, crazy or anything. But then that progressed and progressed, and then by the time I was 14 years old, man, I was running and gunning. I was shooting dope, and I was just hustling, you know, constantly hustling. And so I would get in trouble, and they would send me to, you got to go to Alcoholics Anonymous, or you've got to go to Narcotics Anonymous and get this court paper signed and everything. They called it back then child in need of supervision. And so I would go, you know, loaded or whatever, just please the courts. I got in trouble when I was 15 years old for stealing a keg of beer, and sent me to a rehab for a 28-day evaluation. Sent me for 5 months. And, you know, a normal person would say, well, maybe there's a problem here, but, you know, that was just the break I needed to plan my next getting loaded session, you know. And after I left there, you know, I was back in trouble right away. Then I'm sent off to a boys' school, you know, reform school. I'm there, Same story, goes.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that, then, well, while I was in the reform school, I got in trouble for hustling weed. And so they sent me straight from reform school straight to state penitentiary.
Ah, okay.
Okay, now all of this from, a normal person, I mean, hey, something's wrong here, but not me. I'm just running and gunning. I was only at that state penitentiary for about 6 months. I get out and I'm off running again. And I mean, hitting it hard, really hard, I get busted. Well, let me back up for a second. In this time that I got out of state prison, my brother, I'm gonna try not to get emotional,
It's all good.
but I can't promise. Like I mentioned before, my brother was 3 years, 9 months older than me,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a junkie like me, and he taught me everything, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he moved to Phoenix, Arizona, got involved with that scene down there. He shooting dope, doing the whole thing. He contracted AIDS.
Wow.
Excuse me. And he died.
Mm-hmm.
He died from AIDS. That should tell me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get out of this game. Get out of this game. No, I'm not, man. I'm shooting dope even more. I'm using his death as an excuse to get loaded. And it just progressed and progressed. And next thing I know, the feds are stepping in and busting me for conspiracy to deliver methamphetamine, marijuana, and cocaine.
Wow.
And so they give me a 9-year sentence. And in that time, they transferred me from prison to prison to prison. So I ended up in 7 different penitentiaries.
Oh.
Well, then I get out, and I gave them 5 solid years, and then I had to give them 4 years on paper.
Mm-hmm.
I get out. First thing I do, I don't want to come back to Wyoming because that's where it's all going down. So my dad's living in New Mexico, so I moved to New Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and I get a job right away, and I start drinking some beers because I'm not an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm a drug addict. There's not a question. I know that, but I'm not an alcoholic. So I tell myself this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working road construction, drinking, everything I think is just really cool. Well, that's not how it works for me because alcohol's not the buzz I'm looking for. So after work, we'd go to the bar or whatever and have a few beers. Well, I can pick out the dealers in the bar. I know who's selling dope. I know what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, hey, what's up with you? And one thing leads to another, man, and I'm back in trouble again. I just got out, and I'm kind of playing that lay low thing with my PO.
Uh-huh.
And he finally comes and leaves a note on my door.
Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. You froze for a second.
He was gone. So,
Okay.
but anyway,
So your PO left
I
a note
get
on
so
your door?
yeah, and he tells me if I don't report that he's going to violate me and blah blah blah. I go to his office and I said I'm here, and he's like, I'm not even going to give you a P test. He said, I know you're dirty. You have an option here. You can either go to rehab or you can go do a violation, go back to prison. Well, being this tough convict guy that I think I am, I'm like, I'll just go back to prison. I'm not going to no rehab.
Uh-huh.
And he said, don't answer me right now. Think about it over the weekend and come back. Well, the violation was for 1 year. The rehab was for 28 days. I'm like, I better do this rehab thing, So I go, and I didn't get anything from it. I didn't get anything from the rehab, and I get out of this rehab and they're waiting for me and they're going to violate me anyway. And I was like, what did I do? Why I should have just went and started. long story short, they sent me to a halfway house in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And while I'm at this halfway house, I think I'm gonna be going back to prison. So I start selling some things off and doing some things to make sure I got some money. Well, right before I get ready to go to prison, they take me to the court, and the judge says, "You've given us 9 years already. You're done. It's up to you what you want to do with your life." And I'm like, "I'm free?" And he's like, "You're free. No paper, no nothing." I said, "All right, cool, man." Boom, I hit the streets running again. And within 2 weeks, I caught another case.
Wow.
I went to, this is so important in this story of mine. I went back to another little town in New Mexico, and a guy had owed me some money for a past dope deal. And he didn't have no money, so I took him to Walmart, and I said, "I want this surround sound system. Set up my new pad and everything. I've got to have this surround sound system." I said, "That's the one I want." And he's like, "Okay." So I leave, and I go out to the truck, and I'm waiting for him to bring this surround sound system out. 20, 30 minutes go by, the doors fly open, and it's 2 cops. And they're like, "Come with us." Take me into this little room, and that guy that owed me the money sitting there, and they pointed me, and they say, "Is this him?" He's sad. He's like, "Yeah." They take me to jail for conspiracy to shoplift.
Oh.
Shoplift. I'm a convict. I'm a junkie. How am I going to go back on the yard and tell the homies that I'm there for shoplifting, man?
Wow.
I mean, how am I going to do that? You know, I'm like, I can't do that. There's no way. I got to make up a story.
Right.
I can't tell the guys on the yard that I'm there for shoplifting.
Wow.
So I'm sitting in this little holding cell in the jail, and they ended up giving me a habitual offender, and all I got was 12 months out of it. First time habitual offender. So, but while I was sitting in that cell, I decided right then that something's got to change. I can't live this way anymore. I have literally, since I was 14 years old, been incarcerated or on paper of some sort, and the rest of the damage was just what came with the territory, you know. So I went and I go and do my year, and I get out on parole, and I go to the parole office, and my parole officer has my file, and it's a big, thick file, and she looks at me, and she says, "I'm not going to tell you what you need to do. You can either get your life together, or you can go back to prison. That's up to you." And so right then is when I was like, all right. So I started going to meetings. And I shared this with you earlier. I was in New Mexico. I didn't know these people. I didn't use with them. I didn't rob with them. I didn't do none of that with these people. But I wanted to stay clean. And I knew from all of my time that those people in those rooms were staying clean and sober. So, so I sat in the room, and I sat up against the wall in the corner where I could face the door at all times. At all times, I had to know who was coming and going. I had to watch my back because these people, I didn't know them. And I wasn't afraid to tell them, you know. I told them, I said, I think you guys are a cult. You're trying to brainwash people. I don't know how you're doing it, but in the back of my mind, they're staying clean. They're staying sober. So I'm just going to stay in here until I can iron this out, you know. And so I sat there and I listened. And they would come around the room and they would say, "Would you like to share?" No, I wouldn't. You know, I'm not going to share my deepest, darkest secrets with you cult members. I'm just not going to do it, you know. And so the longer I sat there, you know, it doesn't matter if you're listening, you pick up on little things, you know. And so there was this particular guy that would go to meetings all the time, and he was this old, dirty biker dude.
Uh-huh.
And he was arrogant and cocky, and he was the road captain of this motorcycle club and all of this, and I really didn't like him. But I also knew that he was very spiritual. And so I watched this guy, and I called him after a meeting one night, and I said, hey, his name is Roy. I said, hey, Roy, I said, could you meet me for coffee? And he's like, yeah, I guess, you know. And so we go down to this Village Inn, and he was a blunt like I am, you know, and he said, what do you want? And I said, well, you know, I've been listening in meetings and stuff, and I need a sponsor, and you're him. And he said, you think so? And I said, yeah. And he says, well, it's no secret, I don't really like you. And I said, and I get that because I really don't like you.
Yeah.
But you have something I want, and I've been watching, and you're the guy. And he says, I'll tell you what, I'll give it a shot. He said, I honestly don't believe you're going to stay clean and sober. He said, but I'll give it a shot. And I said, all right. And I said, what do you want me to do? And he says, I want you to go home, and I want you to go to bed. And I want you to get up in the morning, and I want you to make your bed and go to work. I lost my mind. I said, man, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
I don't want to clean my house, man. I want to stay clean off of dope.
Right.
And he said, see, he said, you don't pay attention. He said, that's what normal people do. They go home, they go to bed, they get up in the morning, they go to work, they come back and they do it again.
Right.
And it all made sense, man.
Yeah.
It all clicked. And so still to this day, my bed's made. And when me and my wife got together, I asked her, I said, do you make your bed every day before you go to work, or, you know? And she's like, well, yeah, most days. And I said, well, most days won't work, man. We got to do it every day. But if you can do that, we can do this, you know?
Right.
So,
yeah, you know, you said something that was really, like the light bulb went on in my head, because you know how you're talking about this guy who you didn't like and he didn't like you. So both you guys didn't like each other, but you know, being of service to somebody else is not dependent on if I like you or not. That's not how service works, you know. And that is such a great example, because imagine if we only help people we like. What happens to the people that we don't like? Like, what about them? They're just like us. They need help too, you know. And that's something recovery has taught me. No matter who you are, what you've done, it doesn't matter. If your hand is out to reaching out for help, I will grab it. Me personally, I don't care if I don't like you. I don't care. It doesn't matter if I don't like you. I could hate you, but I will go help you. Nothing will stop me from helping somebody else. So that was so great, bro. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. You know, that's a huge thing in my recovery today is we all have different personalities. No matter how similar we are, you know, what brought us here is our common ground for alcoholism and addiction, right?
Yeah.
We all have different personalities, and I have in 19 years, man, I've seen them all, you know, and I've helped. It didn't matter, you know, race, creed, religion, lack of religion, it don't matter, you know. And it's really crazy that whether you like me or I like you, we sit down in them rooms, we have the same exact goal.
Exactly.
The same exact goal. You know, and I share this a lot in meetings, you know. In that meeting for 1 hour, I don't have to worry about anybody getting loaded, anybody doing anything. Everybody that is sitting at that table is staying clean for 1 hour. What they do before they get there, what they do when they leave, that's their business.
Yep.
But for that hour, I'm going to help you, you know. So Yeah, so I make my bed, and my kids, they get so pissed off at me because I'm like, "Hey, is your bed made?" "Well, no, I'll do it when I get back." "No, you'll go do it right now. Go make your bed." And they'll tell you too. It's kind of a thing with me, but I start going to more meetings and more meetings and more meetings, and I start riding with this bike club. And this bike club that I was riding with, a bunch of Exhales Angels, Banditos, all these guys, that have changed their life. And so this is a big bike club. Well, it was a good thing, it was to be a part of this and that. I was about 3 years clean at this time, and I got hit head on by an 18-year-old girl with no insurance, no driver's license. Had me stuck up underneath her car. I was pronounced dead 3 different times. I go into this, all of this is in New Mexico. And so I was in the hospital for 45 days, intensive care, 30 of those. I get out, and my whole life is like just flashing before me, and this is another part of my story, that this is where I found God. And like I said, I'm riding with this bike club, and I come to, and I've got all these tubes and everything in me, and there's all these windows all around me. And I'm thinking, like, where in the fuck am I? This bike club has got me in like a warehouse, and they're taking care of me and getting me healthy, because I can remember bits and pieces of this wreck. And this lady comes in, and she's got earrings she couldn't fit no more in her ears.
Yeah.
Earrings, just tons of them. Tattoos everywhere. And I'm like, for sure, man, this bike club is legit. They got their own doctors and nurses and shit. And I'm like, all right, well, as time went on, I was in the hospital. And this tattooed earring lady was my doctor.
Oh, wow.
And she is who saved my life, And so in this process of finding out that I'm really in the hospital is when I talked to God. And I share this because I think that religion is for people who don't want to go to hell. Spirituality is for people who have already been there. And while I was dying, I had a chance to talk to my God. And I had a spiritual awakening. And at that point in time, I turned my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand Him.
Yeah.
And it's been nothing but love since, And so I get out of the hospital, and miraculously, I'm okay. Broken leg, all my ribs are broken, fingers broken. They had to remove my spleen, but I'm alive. And I made a decision to move my kids back closer to my parents in Wyoming. So I moved back here, and the rest is meetings. I'm going to meetings. At about 5 years, I was losing my mind again, and I wasn't 100% sure that recovery was for me anymore.
Right.
I don't think that I had I didn't want to get loaded anymore, but I was going crazy. Well, my uncle, who has been in the program for almost 40 years now, he came and talked to me. You got to come to meetings, you got to share, you got to do this. And so I did, and everything got okay, and all the promises and everything that they say were coming true. I've got a good job. I've got a nice house. I've got Harleys in the garage. I've got all of this stuff, all these promises. And I thought, this is good. This is good. This is how I'm going to live. I've probably got a dozen sponsees at the time, and I'm just rolling with this, and somehow I get to about 10 years, and my son is starting to experiment with drugs and stuff, and I know it.
Uh-huh.
And so my stepdad and my son manipulated my parents into some craziness. Anyway, I lost my mind at 10 years.
Uh-huh.
And they had to come, and my uncle had to come and physically remove me because, man, I was going to kick their asses is what I was going to do. That was just the way it was.
Uh-huh.
And I hadn't been to a meeting in about 6 months at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And my uncle's like, you need to go to meetings. You need to do this. You need to do that. Well, addicts and alcoholics are hard-headed. We're going to do what we want to do, when we want to do it, and how we want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, no, I'm not doing meetings no more. I'm not going to, fuck your programs. It's not working for me.
Uh-huh.
Well, that was me being stubborn. So I go back to meetings. I start being able to share like I am right now with everybody, open-minded. And, man, things start getting better.
Yeah.
And my irritability and everything is gone, and it's because of you people in these rooms that taught me how to live.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly, when I say that I love you, I mean I love you.
Yeah.
Because, man, I am a hopeless junkie
Mm-hmm.
out of these rooms. There's so much to share, so much to tell you, but the one thing that I need people to know is don't ever give up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever give up.
That's right.
I've been through it. I've been through it all, and I never gave up. I found a community on Instagram, and no clue that it even existed out there. And I am so fired up about recovery today. It's almost like it's brand new to me. I'm building friendships
Mm-hmm.
that I know will last a lifetime as long as I keep doing the next right thing.
Right.
Just do the next right thing. And, I've got a family that supports me 100%. There's people on here right now that are my little sister. I seen her on there. My wife, my daughters, my mother-in-law. All these people are on here because they love me.
Mm-hmm.
And before I got here, I was unlovable.
Yeah.
Before I got here, I was unemployable.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to these rooms and I found you people, and my higher power has continued to bless me in ways that I can't even explain. Man, dude, I've been almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it's been a ride, man.
It's
been a ride.
It definitely sounds like it has been, man. It also sounds like you're back on that pink cloud again. Like when you was first new. It's like it's like you're back on that pink cloud again, man. And
Absolutely.
That is awesome, man. You gotta, man. You got me choked up there at the end, man. Like you got a powerful story, man, to tell. And I appreciate that your honesty, your vulnerability, your openness and willingness to share. Because people in general, they don't really like to come out and share all these things they've done wrong in their lives. People don't like to do that. I never like to do that. I was trying to keep everything a secret, keep it in the dark, away from everybody. I had this persona like I'm like this, but in reality, I was not like that. I kept who I really was, locked up in a corner, and sometimes through being irritable, restless, discontent, it would come out of me and people could really see it. Like I would say this all the time. Like I couldn't hang on to a woman to save my life, active in my addiction, because it was all about me. It really was. I didn't have the capacity to think about other people the way I do today, the way that I learned in the rooms of recovery, and through other people, that have, I maybe like I've met on social media, like who's in recovery, and things like that. But that is powerful, man. Just thinking about, like, I mean, almost dying. I mean, you break all your ribs, your fingers, and I had were you watching yesterday's show with Haley?
I was.
Yeah, I mean, her story was a little, because typically it's like, bro, we went to prison, we did all this crazy stuff. I mean, like, it's pretty rare you meet somebody who actually still had custody of their children or something, and
Right.
kind of thought to themselves, oh, I should probably go seek help, kind of thing. I never did that. I never, no. Like, I sometimes I would think, I have a problem. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, I do. I was not willing to admit to myself that I had a problem. And she made a good point too. I've heard other people say it. Like, if you're questioning whether or not you got a problem, chances are you got a problem. But it's becoming willing to
Absolutely.
admitting, you know, like how I got the victory in my life was admitting defeat. That's exactly how I got the victory. I could not get the victory without admitting complete defeat. But that was so hard to do because I had so much pride. Everything was all about me. Everybody else is wrong. Like, I will pound a square peg in a round hole. Just watch me. I'll get it in there. I'll get it in there. Kind of
Right.
thing. But
And for me,
I really appreciate you, man.
well, and I appreciate you. For me, it was never an issue of admitting I had a problem.
Uh
I
huh.
knew from a young age, that I had a problem. I was that guy that people didn't want to get loaded with. They were
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Holy crap, you're gonna do all of that? We're not gonna be here."
Uh huh.
And so I never had a problem. My biggest problem was that was my life.
Yeah.
That was my lifestyle. That's how I lived. I was afraid of not having it,
Yeah. Wow.
and when I share in meetings all the time, I would like when I would get busted and do like them 10 days in jail or 30 days in jail,
Uh huh.
because it would like refresh everything,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
could just get back out there and hit it hard,
Uh
and
huh.
never did I think that I was going to quit until I was sitting in that jail cell for conspiracy to shoplift. I wasn't even shoplifting.
Yeah.
I was just knew about it, and it's like, oh man, and
Uh
I've hit bottom now,
huh.
and that was the tough guy convict mentality, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's so weird, but
Yeah.
I get now today, I get to share experience, strength, and hope
Yeah.
with whoever I come in contact with. My kids, they they don't really like understand why I'm so adamant about no drinking, no drugging, man.
Uh huh.
You know, just not because you know how you can tell kids all the time, hey, I've been there, I've done this, and they're like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I have, and it's just a blessing that I got to learn so much from you people.
Hmm.
And I got to learn, like I said, how to be a husband, how to
Hmm.
be a father,
Yeah.
how to be employable. I learned all that from you people, and God surrounds me constantly, and just blesses me all the time. Little things like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And it's like God already showed you.
Uh-huh.
Just listen for a minute. And it's like they tell you in meetings, take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Another thing, something I had to learn early on, what was very similar to what you just said, because I hear people say that, And immediately it would irritate me because I knew it was true about me, you know? So what I had to do, I had to learn how to listen with my ears and not with my mouth, you know? Like, that's how I would listen, with my mouth all the time. Like, I just was just so full of just me, and it was just, I was killing myself. It was, you know, I call it the disease of me. That's what I was suffering from, really. When it boiled down to everything, it was the disease of me. But
Right.
is it okay if I can ask you a few more questions, Marty?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the next question is, what were some of your triggers, like when you were trying to get sober and clean and everything?
I'm sorry.
What was
You broke up there for a second.
your some of your triggers when you were early on in recovery?
Um, you know what? Like I said, when I made the decision that I had to change my life, I honestly, man, I from the day I walked out of that penitentiary
Hmm.
into that first meeting, I haven't been triggered.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I haven't I haven't been triggered. You know, I sponsor guys and
Uh-huh.
things, and I watch the triggers and I see all that kind of stuff. So maybe that has helped me to where, but I knew, man, I knew when I got here
Hmm.
that I wasn't going back.
Right.
I wasn't
Okay.
going back. And so, you know, I still have family today, you know, they're normal. They can drink a beer at dinner or
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
And some of my family be like, don't drink around Marty, you know? And I'm like, man, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. If you can do it responsibly,
Yeah.
I envy you.
Yeah, yeah, you know,
You don't
because
trigger me,
like
man.
honestly, for like, well, I'll speak for myself. Like my recovery is not based upon whether or not somebody can drink around me. You know what I mean? That doesn't matter. Like it's not gonna trigger me or what. Like if I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna drink. You don't even have to help me by drinking in front of me. You know what I mean? Kind of
Exactly.
thing. Oh, right on.
Exactly.
Okay, so you know, like for me, I actually had a trigger early on in recovery, and it was money. Money was a big trigger for me, and I was talking to my sponsor about it, and then he told me that he said, "Tell me the story of the last time you used." And long story short, I didn't have any money, so I sold my brand new cell phone. It was like $1,000, but I sold it for like 600. Just give me the money, you know what I mean? And so he was kind of like, oh, okay. You know, he kind of stopped me in the middle of me talking, and I was thinking, oh, he's trying to tell me something. So basically, the point he was making is, look, money, no money. If we're gonna drink and use, we're gonna figure out how to drink and use. It doesn't matter. So I was at that day, I was like, wow, that's such a good. And then I never struggled with it after that. That was because I lived in a sober living my first year, so I had some structure, and I wasn't going out to bars or go watch football at Dave and Buster's or something like that. I had a pretty good solid foundation, and it just kept going from there. So okay, next question. What has helped you stay clean and sober the most?
The past.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, like I said, you know, like man, I lived the life.
Hmm.
You know, man, I was everything, you know, that you see on TV, man. I was that drug addict.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about homelessness and things like that. That was me. You know, I was just sharing with my wife the other night that, you know, you associate homelessness with living under a bridge or this or that. Well, I was homeless in the sense that all of my home was in my backpack,
Hmm.
but I always had a big fat sack in my backpack too. And so I could crash on that couch or this couch or that couch or whatever, but I didn't have a home,
Hmm.
you know? And so the past, man, the past, I look at everything I went through to get into that meeting that day, and I don't want to repeat the
Yeah.
past.
That's something you made me think about talking about the past because I was taught this is pre 12 step basically. I learned that never look backwards unless that's the direction you want to go. You know what I mean? That's why the windshield in a car is big and the rearview mirror is very small because you don't want to go back. Then I came into recovery, and I learned about those three essentials, which is honesty, willingness, and open-mindedness. That was a big one. So I learned how we don't regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. And I was thinking, I learned why. Because if I forget what it was like for me, when that bright idea comes about taking a drink, doing one line, it's not gonna, oh, okay, that sounds like a good idea. And also for the sake of a new person, a newcomer, because if they only know what I'm like today, they'd be like, they cannot relate to me. They cannot identify. They'd be like, wait, you ever did drugs or what? You know what I mean? Your life is just great, Because at a certain point in my recovery, I only talked about solution, and what I'm like today, and what I'm like today. And then I forgot who suggested it or who told me, at least, because I don't like to do a big drug-a-log or drink-a-log either. I don't. I like to just, get to the point of what brought me to the recovery, and then just go from there, and talk more about,
Right.
like that, But okay, so let's see what we got next. Okay, the next question: what have you learned about yourself in the process of recovery?
Oh man.
Might be a long list.
You got another hour?
Okay, one thing, man.
I'll tell you what, man. I learned that I have OCD.
Uh-huh.
I learned that I have a huge ego.
Yeah.
I learned, man, the list just goes on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, man, what have I learned? Man, you know what I learned the most
Mm-hmm.
is how to love you.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, man. That's
You
awesome.
know, if I really get down to being honest, is I learned how to love
Mm-hmm.
people. And what I have been learning in the last 3 years is that I can be loved
Mm-hmm.
because I have a hard time with letting people love me.
Right. Right.
And so, and my wife is so good at that. Like she's like gonna teach me this stuff, but man, love is so powerful
Yeah.
in these rooms. Like I said earlier, if I tell you I love you, man, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that the most in recovery.
Yeah. That's so awesome, man. That's so important. I believe, because love is more important. Love covers over a multitude of sins or wrongdoings or character defects, things like that. In my opinion, it does, because the thing for me that I learned about myself in the process of recovery, the biggest thing that was a humongous just to my ego was that it was simply I wasn't the nice guy I thought I was. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it was like what? Really? I'm like, oh no. My ego died that day, and then it resurrected itself like 2 seconds later, It rebuilds itself really quick. Okay, and then
That's crazy.
this is the last question, Marty. What would you say to somebody right now that's still suffering from this disease of addiction?
We do recover.
That's right.
You're not alone. We are stronger together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna share this real quick because I know
Yeah, no,
I
you're
know we
good.
got to wrap it up
You're
pretty
good.
soon, and this will probably get to be the emotional side of me. I have a son who is 25 years old who is strung out on heroin. He's battling this disease, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had to learn that I can't save him,
Mm.
that I can share my experience, strength, and hope with him. But ultimately, he's got to save himself. And that has been a struggle for me
Yeah.
because I want to save him.
Mm-hmm.
I want to teach him that life is better on this side, man.
Yeah.
We found out a couple of days ago that he's sitting in jail in another town, and what a absolute blessing to know where he's at.
Right.
And, you know, I don't want to say necessarily that he's safe
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, jail's jail, but at least know where he's at,
Right.
you know. And I tell you, man, it's so hard when the people you love are running through this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about this program, though, is you you love these people um, in the rooms the same as you love your biological family.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so when you see sponsees or so and so sits across from you at the meeting,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't show up for a while, and you find out, you know, man, it hurts your heart
Yeah, it does.
because you know I am living proof that this thing works.
Mm-hmm.
You people are not a cult,
Mm-hmm.
and I love you.
We
You
love you
know,
too, bro.
so it's man, it's a rough journey, but it's that silver lining. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We get to that silver lining where nothing and nobody can take my recovery away from me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Yeah. You know, you said something that's and thank you for sharing that, you know, that took a lot of courage, but you said something that I have not experienced it with my son, but family members. I have a cousin specifically back home who just got out of prison. He was in prison for 4 years, and then we found out he stole somebody's truck. He got beat up. Somebody stole his car, and he's smoking meth again, and when it's somebody like an acquaintance or somebody we may not know but may see at meetings or something that you know, like it's easy to go, oh wow, okay, I can pray for them, because not a whole lot of emotion is attached to them. But when it's somebody like family, somebody that we care about, like really, I mean, it's so much more difficult. But I agree with you about, it. Nobody made me drink and use, and nobody made me recover. I was willing to do both. That's what it is. All
right,
I can do
yeah,
is be an example for somebody else to follow and show them what recovery looks like, show them what it's like to be sober. And that's applying all these principles in all my affairs. I try to live my life today like a newcomer is always watching me. Even if I'm in the dark in my closet, I'm out in public, it doesn't matter. Because I was one way in the dark and I was one way in the light. Today, I'm very consistent. I'm the same way wherever I am, and that is such a blessing, man. But do you have any last words or anything to say to us before we wrap this up?
you know, I just want to say thank you.
Thank
You
you.
know, thank you for opening the door for people to recover, to see
Mhm.
that it's possible. You know,
Yes.
like I said earlier, you know, this thing is worldwide, man.
Yeah.
What you guys are doing with the IG Live, with, the podcast,
Yeah.
I don't want to throw names out there, but
Mhm.
my brother Jim, what he does for those people,
Oh yeah. Amazing.
dude, it's in my heart.
Hmm.
And it is like we do recover, man.
Yeah.
We do.
Uh-huh.
We do. That fucking stigma is dead.
Uh-huh.
That once an addict, always an addict.
Hmm.
You know, I get it. I get it. But we do recover, man, and we're stronger together. And it's you people
That's right.
that continue to show that it's possible.
That's
And
right.
man, I am forever grateful, man.
Yeah. Man, I gotta come take a trip up to Wyoming and come visit you, bro.
Anytime, man. My door's open.
All right.
My
Well,
door's
hey.
open. Hey, wait till summer though, because you California boys can't handle this cold.
Yeah. Honestly, I love cold weather. Even though I'm from Hawaii, everybody thinks I like warm weather. I hate warm weather. I love, like, if it's snowing all day, oh, I love that. Like, I don't know why.
See,
I sweat really easy. I guess that's why. I don't know. but I love cold weather.
Everybody says that. Everybody says that until they come here.
Oh yeah.
You know this.
I gotta come experience
this
it.
shit's like Russia, man.
Oh man, hey, thank you again, Marty, man. We gotta do this again. Thank you so much for your time, bro.
Hey,
Thank you.
anytime, brother. I'll be in touch with you, man.
Okay, sounds good, man. You have a good day.
Hey, I love you guys.
We love you too, bro.
Take care.
All right, guys, that was my friend Marty. He told his story. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You know, week after week, there's living proof that recovery is possible. Recovery is possible. This program has worked for me and Marty, you know, when we work it and if we work it. It just didn't happen for us. You know, we got to do the work. That's one thing God will not do for us. He will not do the work for us. That's the part we can do. He does what we cannot do. You know, so anyway, guys, if you got a story to tell, you know somebody that does, put them in touch with me and we can make it happen. Thank you guys so much for watching.